It's as addictive as gambling. It's as addictive as using substances, but it's socially acceptable.
Health experts tonight sounding the alarm, saying social media, something installed in seconds and accessible anywhere, may be creating habits that look more like dependency than entertainment. And tonight, a landmark lawsuit is now in the hands of a jury.
Mark, do you have a message to the parents?
As families push for accountability, claiming these platforms were designed to keep young users coming back, even as the consequences grow more serious.
And the CEOs of these major tech companies, they know this.
Jurors now have to decide whether those design features were a substantial factor in causing the harm, in a verdict that could influence thousands of similar lawsuits still waiting across the country. And tonight, this case is being watched far beyond just one courtroom. Good Friday evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Ben Weinman. Tonight for our 360 story, a 20-year-old plaintiff says years of early social media use worsened her depression and suicidal thoughts, while defense attorneys argue mental health far more complex than any single platform. And whatever this jury eventually decides could help define how future cases against these tech companies move forward. To help us break this down further, Ethan Jamba is in the house tonight. He is standing by after speaking with local health experts, educators, and parents about what they are seeing here at home in Montana. Ethan, we're going to get to you in just a few minutes, but because this case is unfolding at a national level, it is considered a bellwether, meaning its outcome could help shape more than 1,600 similar lawsuits filed across the country. The one we're talking about tonight, though, this case centers around 20-year-old Kaylee, identified in court filings as KGM. She says she started using social media as a child and that years of heavy use contributed to depression, body image struggles, and suicidal thoughts. Now, her attorneys argue platforms like Meta and YouTube were deliberately designed to maximize engagement through features like endless scrolling, autoplay, and consistent notifications. Defense attorneys say those claims oversimplify a much broader mental health picture, that no single platform can be held responsible for the complex struggles many teenagers face. And because this case is the first of its kind to reach any kind of jury in this way, a verdict for the plaintiff could do more than strengthen other cases already waiting against major tech companies. It could also add new pressure for changes many users would actually notice, things like stronger age checks, more parental controls, even to closer scrutiny of features like endless scrolling, push alerts, and recommendation systems designed to keep people engaged. But if Meta and YouTube prevail in this case, future plaintiffs may face a much higher legal bar to prove that platform design itself caused lasting harm. Defense attorneys have argued that social media is only one part of a much larger mental health landscape and that responsibility cannot be legally isolated so easily. And while the jury in this case weighs in on that question tonight, many local health experts say the effects of screen dependency, they are already showing up far from the courtroom. Our Ethan Jamba joining us tonight inside the Nonstop Local studios. Ethan, good evening to you. Take us kind of inside what they're seeing tonight.
Good evening to you, Ben. For many health professionals, the shift doesn't come out of nowhere. As screen time increased during the pandemic, so did concerns about how constant digital stimulation can affect young minds. Experts say social media platforms are designed to keep users engaged, often by delivering fast-paced content that triggers the brain's reward system.
October 2021, I saw the biggest spike in ADHD cases I've ever seen in my career. Triple, quadruple what I've ever seen in my career before. And that really hasn't let up at all. So it hits the dopamine system when we are both on bright screens like that, and because the type of content that gets filtered through is meant to be as emotionally engaging as possible.
But the conversation isn't just happening in doctors' offices. Schools across the country, including here in Missoula, are also navigating how technology is affecting students in the classroom.
It was super typical that during that break time, literally you would hear no noise because every student's face was in their cell phone. I mean, they might be at a table sitting together, but no one was interacting.
After Hellgate Elementary implemented an away for the day policy, Blakely says the change was noticeable almost immediately.
Literally, I wanted to cry. there was a circle of boys, and I went over and I said, "What are you guys doing?" They said, "We're playing Go Fish." And there was another circle of girls, and I said, "Hey, what are you guys up to?" And they said, "Oh, we're doing a book study. We all decided to read the same novel."
Public health officials say social media is only one part of a much larger conversation about youth well-being. But they also say small habits like limiting screen time and encouraging time outdoors can help reduce some of the negative effects.
One of the biggest things that experts say is to have kids not let them have a device in their bedroom at night, and even if it's off.
Schmidt says the goal isn't to eliminate technology altogether, but to help kids develop healthier habits around how and when they use it. And that starts with parents providing a positive example for their kids.
The other thing is setting a good example. A lot of kids will say, "Yeah, but you're on your device all the time." And they're right. It happens a lot. And you can even talk to your kid about, "Yeah, this is hard for me too. This is difficult for me to limit my screen time. I'm working on it." And then you got to actually do it.
And while local doctors, schools, and public health officials continue to address the issue here at home, the conversation is also growing on a national level. Local experts say regardless of how those legal battles play out, understanding how young people interact with technology and setting healthy boundaries across screen use may be one of the most important steps families can take moving forward. Reporting for Nonstop Local, I'm Ethan Jamba.
Images tonight of those groups of kids playing Go Fish and reading a book. I think we all long for those in our schools across the state. Ethan, thank you for your reporting tonight. And for so many families here in Montana, that part of what makes this conversation so complicated. Unlike other habits that parents may try to limit, phones and social media, they are so tied to school, tied to friendships, communication. They're tied to our daily lives in ways that are really hard to separate. What starts as communication or schoolwork quickly turns into constant checking during breaks between classes and throughout the evening. And over time, those small moments, they can add up, making it harder for some young people to fully disconnect from their device. So some good news though. Experts say there are steps that parents here in Montana can take right now to help children build healthier habits online. Pediatricians tell us the small habits can make a big difference. Things like creating screen-free zones at the dinner table or before bedtime, and having regular conversations with kids about what they are actually seeing online, the content. Research also shows that when parents stay involved in their children's media use, whether by watching content together or seeing consistent routines, it can improve sleep, focus, and overall well-being. So folks, the question is no longer whether social media shapes behavior, but how early those effects actually begin and what can be done before they become harder to undo. And as the jury continues to decide what responsibility the major tech companies may actually legally carry, we'll continue to follow the verdict and what it could mean right here in Montana on Nonstop Local. Well, folks, a lot happening on this Friday evening. Very busy night here across the state. We are just getting started. Weather forecaster Elena Margot, you see her right here, a live look inside the Weather Center. Hello, Elena. Latest look on the storm system. We are in a weather alert tonight. What's it going to look like in your backyard over the next few days as we all head into the weekend together? Travel concerns, of course. Plus, we have a really fun night in sports. Teams from across the state of Montana battling tonight for a spot in basketball state championship games, the big moments, the clutch shots. Who's moving one step closer to that all-important state title? Keep right here, folks. We'll be right back.